So I'm doing my video on Chapter 9. It's about Lauren Sagona, who is a sophomore at Central State University. She ended up switching her major to journalism and discovered that one of her math courses wouldn't count in her core classes anymore. So she talked to other transfer students and found out that a lot of them had difficulties with transfer credits as well. Some students didn't receive credit for as many as 10 courses they had taken at a local community college, and they thought they were coming in as juniors but really ended up coming in as freshmen. And some received credit for certain classes and others didn't. So there's a lot of inconsistencies there and in the Central's decision about what counted for major or core classes versus what should be counted as electives. So she began researching and found that there was no law on how those cases are handled, that it's different from school to school, and any school can accept or refuse transfer credits based on any criteria that they have. She interviewed some counselors at her university and the community college, and then she ended up interviewing students as well again. And she found that both schools assign people to handle them on a case-by-case basis. And when she asked the counselors to see a course equivalency table, which just would have what was required from each class for a credit to transfer over into it, they all referred her to the registrar. So she went to the registrar and talked to the secretary and identified herself as a journalist and asked to see it, the course equivalency table, and she said that she couldn't provide it, and then she asked the registrar after that, and she said the same thing. And so she was really wondering if the table even existed then. So she's trying to decide whether or not she wanted to go undercover journalists who lie about who they are. Usually end up being praised if they're doing things like proving injustices in the world and stuff like that. But that was hard for her because honesty is one of the most important things when it comes to journalism, or the most important thing. So what she ended up doing is she decided that she was going to go undercover, and she called and disguised her voice and posed as a student from the community college there, and asked, if I tell you what courses I'm going to take, can you tell me if they're transfer? And the secretary lady there said, okay, and went and got something and came back. She said, I've got my cheat sheet ready, so let me know what courses you're taking, and I'll tell you if they transfer. So she ended up going through about 5 to 7 classes, and she found out that 2 were likely to transfer, but the lady did make sure to tell her it was unofficial and that she wouldn't know until the student was enrolled if they would be accepted. The ones that weren't accepted were generally upper level courses that are used like towards your major. And when she was about to end the call, she asked if the info was provided to any of the community college students that asked her. And the secretary said that it depends on a lot of factors, including the time of day that the people called to ask the information and how complete her list was at that time, because it changed constantly. So she discussed how transfer students were having, when she published her article, she discussed how transfer students were having problems, and the university was apparently using inconsistent criteria to evaluate the transfer credit. And it ended up being published in their school paper. And there's a lot of questions it raised. It did, and the school ended up making a policy, and now they have their course equivalency table posted online to where those kind of discrepancies don't happen as much anymore. But what it actually did cause is like a big controversy on whether she should have gone undercover or not. And there's a lot of people who disagreed with it. They thought that a lot of other college students would start going undercover and doing that kind of work because she did it, and without doing things like asking yourself, is it ethical and such like that. And I think she did the right thing because it was proving an injustice and how college kids were kind of being taken advantage of. And other people had a problem with it because it made the university look bad, but the university's main goal is to help students and to help they get an education, and they were kind of screwing them over. So I think it was the right decision. I think that this has made me more ethical because it's made me think, because before, I've never been in a journalism class, and I don't know if I would have thought twice about like going undercover and lying about who I was. I most likely would just call it and pretend to be the student without any hesitation. But it kind of makes me think, like, is this actually the right thing to do? It helps me think about posing those ethical questions to myself, to where I don't get myself into any trouble like that, because lying is not very good.